Thank you, Gareth, and hi everybody. It's a real privilege to be here in your lovely country. I did want to just speak a little bit of your language. So on the aeroplane, I sat next to a Norwegian lady, and I asked her to tell me how to say hello in Norwegian. So she said hello. I said yeah, hello. So hello in the Norwegian sense of the term. Before I get on with my bit as well, Gareth was very, very modest. And Gareth is one of a handful of executives at the BBC without whom this project would never have happened. And also modest about the BBC. What other corporation around the world could have pulled this off and done such a selfless and fantastic initiative? So credit and kudos to the BBC, and it was a privilege to be part of that program at the BBC. And it's also a privilege to be part of the Microbit Educational Foundation, and that's what I want to talk to you a bit about today. So I'll go through who we are, I'll talk you through our vision, our mission, all the things that we stand for, our objectives, and I'll go through why we have a strong foundation, and by foundation I mean a basis for this initiative. A lot of other people have tried it before and not been quite as successful. So why do we think that we have what it takes to make this thing the success that Gareth talked about? And I'll talk you through that. There's a little bit more evidence and some more anecdotes I'll talk through about just how well it's been received. And then a little bit at the end about how we want to work with other countries and partners. So without further ado, the Microbit Education Foundation, as Gareth said, is a not-for-profit, and that's really important. Our goal is to promote microbit around the world, and not to get rich in doing it. We want to do some good, some social good. The aim is to lower the barrier to entry, but all throughout everything we do, the focus is on the children. So the microbit is really, really compelling, and a lot of the techies and the makers are really excited by it. But we are remaining focused on the children, and that is who our core market is. And we'll never forget that. That said, we do have a great following amongst the techies as well, which is fantastic. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. Gareth talked about the large partnership that made this possible, and there's 6 partners that have taken it forward who are working with the foundation: Arm, Microsoft, BBC, Nominet, IET, and Samsung. So great thanks to them for sticking with us and supporting us. So, the vision. Now, we're nothing if not ambitious. Our vision is that in the future, every child will be an inventor. Our mission is to empower children and parents and teachers around the globe to learn and innovate using the microbit. And the big objective is to reach 100 million people. And given the success in the UK, we believe that's possible. So how are we going to do that? Well, the only way we can do that is with a strong foundation. And I use the word foundation with a small f here, not the microbit foundation, the basis, the foundation, and of course the hardware. I mean, the hardware, to use a really corny phrase, is sexy, it's appealing. But it was designed from the beginning by some really incredible techies, but always with the focus being on the children. The decisions that were made were about, will this be appealing to the children? And this is why it's such a nice looking piece of kit. It's really compelling. It just looks nice and it feels good. If you haven't touched one or played with one yet, I suspect a lot of you will feel that when you put it out. It's a desirable piece of kit. And this is because partners that got involved were focusing on the children and the first experience. When it's pulled out of a box, you needed to capture the kids' attention. And that's what it does. There's a lot more to it than that. I'll talk through that in a second as well. But by itself, it's just a piece of hardware. And without other aspects, it wouldn't have caught on. We've seen this before. There was a project called the Galileo Project. Our great friends, the Raspberry Pi, none of these projects were able to reach the children. And the reason for that is the support that goes with the hardware. So Gareth mentioned a number of editors that we've built. I'll have a look at those in a second. There's also the website, although calling it websites, perhaps not doing it enough credit. There's a web presence. We are present on the web. You will find us, and you will find Microbit, and it's a very consistent experience. And it's all centralised, and it's quite nice. But the last thing I mentioned is the learning materials. Now, Gareth mentioned that as well. He talked about there being 250 different pieces of material, tutorials, projects, lesson plans. That's growing all the time, and the open source community is adding to that. And it's the richness of those learning materials that makes the Microbit, gives us the capability of reaching that target audience. So you'll find, I believe a lot of you in the audience are teachers. I was a teacher once, many years ago, and it's a hard job. It's a really, really tough job. And introducing a new piece of hardware, even though it's great and it will, it will change things, for teachers who have to teach that, you've then got all the hassle of creating new lesson plans, getting familiar with it. So it was really important to support the teachers and build stuff that was compatible with the curriculum. So there's an enormous amount of materials out there, and that's been a great help. And again, the BBC has handed these things over to the Microbit Education Foundation, and the BBC has built a superb basis for us to move forward and to realise our ambitions. So thank you again to the BBC. As far as the hardware goes, I'll race through this. The LED matrix, I just want to say one little thing on this, and it's quite fun. When we built the Microbit, we didn't realise that the LED matrix is actually a two-way thing. So yeah, you've got 5x5 grid, and it shows a nice little red LED, and you can get quite clever with it. So you can change the intensity with which the LED shines. So you can, create an image with. In fact, you can play Connect 4. I believe this one of the ones I've got in my pocket, has a Connect 4 game on it, which is quite cool. But what I've been seeing on Twitter, one of the guys from America who worked on the project is a fantastic maker. He's just posted something a few days ago where you can wave your hand in front of the LED, and it can actually detect that motion, and you can use that as an input, which is amazing. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't think we realised that when we built the machine, that you'd be able to do that. So that's really great. There's buttons, all sorts of input options at the bottom. So digital, I/O, analog. You can use crocodile clips. You can plug in an external power supply. You can use banana clips, and there's breakout boards as well, edge connectors, which are really nice. So there's a lot of peripherals that are being built, and Microbit Education Foundation. Please edit that out of the film. We're working actively to support people who are building peripherals. So if any of you have any fantastic ideas, please get in touch, and we'll talk about it. And what's not mentioned here is just the look, the design. It's really, really nice. It's meant to have a sort of a personalised look, face, and it's very well received. And on the back, what we've done is we've printed all the components and put arrows to it, and this is just another way that we're trying to support kids and teach them, show them what goes into a piece of hardware like this. So there's a USB, a little reset button, and of course the heart of it, the Nordic, which is one of the more compelling pieces of tech on this, and provides some really fantastic opportunities for it, especially around Bluetooth. Connects a battery, so there is a battery connector, magnetometer, accelerometer, and then there's the Freescale chip. But again, some of the creativity, some of the things that people are coming up with. One of the chips has got a heat sensor. It's part of the chip, I'm not sure which one. But the guys have been able to use that and actually get temperature readings out of it. So there's actually a temperature gauge as well on this. Again. Thank you very much. Yeah. Yeah, Nordic were great, and so much of the tech that's in here is from Nordic. And as a country, you should take some pride in that, because Norway is all over this piece of kit, which is why it's so great that Norway is our first official country partner. So they launched with 4 editors. There's 5 at the moment. The Microsoft PXT has been introduced, which is a nice foundation. For those of you who are especially techie, you can get out your C or your C++ and code directly into the embedded platform. Just please don't ask me how you do that, I'm not sure, but you can. And there are other editors in development at the moment. I'm aware of 2. There's probably more, which is really fantastic. As far as the website goes, well, I encourage you to draw your own conclusions. I obviously think it's pretty good, but then again, I am a bit biased. We launched it on Tuesday, and the response has been absolutely phenomenal. We had an idea of what to expect, given that the BBC have been running this website for so long. But I think on the first day, before the redirect from microbit.co.uk had started coming to us, we hit about 250,000 page impressions, which isn't unique visits. But for various reasons, we're not tracking analytics. In fact, it's worth mentioning this. The foundation is, our core audience is children, and it's children below the age of 13. And as was the case with the BBC, so much of what we do, we have to keep in mind that audience and be sensitive about accessibility and also child protection. So there are no cookies on the website at all. And this is one of the reasons why there's no login, because with that you would require some form of identification. So we don't know who the visitors are. Now there are ideas we have moving forward to allow, for example, saving your scripts and publishing them and so on. Now the BBC were able to do that because of their relationship with teachers, and the foundation will find some way of doing that as well. So bear with us on that one. But yeah. So have a look. It's available in NOSC. And tribute to the guys at LKK, especially Gerard, who I know spent the entire weekend translating it, and for that we're really grateful, and it's fantastic. So yeah, please visit our website and have a look, microbit.org, and there's also loads and loads of teaching materials and learning materials. I've just pasted a few there, you can't see them, but have a look, use the search functionality. You'll be amazed. One of my favourites, I brought this along, I was going to show it off to you. This is actually, I made this. And it's silly. All I did was download a program that already existed, put it on my microbit, got a piece of tape, taped it to a table tennis bat, which is pretty easy, and then I sat playing this with my kids for about an hour or so, and it was really, really fun. And I felt proud. I've been doing this thing for 18 months. Still building something like this, you get a real sense of pride, especially when your kids get involved and it's fun. I can't demo it though, because unfortunately my table tennis ball got squashed in transit on the aeroplane, but if you want to do some pretend keepy uppies, you can grab that later. So yeah, the foundation of the foundation is 4 things, right? But there's one other thing, and the other thing is absolutely the most important, and that's the magic. The magic comes from us, from people, from the thousands and thousands of teachers who commit to using this, and to the children who see it and get excited, but also to people like LKK, like the BBC, like so many others who feel compelled and feel the excitement and see the potential. And without those people, without those sorts of people, all we would have would be a lovely piece of hardware. But what we have is this movement, and it is already appearing to be a global movement. We saw it in the UK, but I'm already feeling it from around the world. And the interest from all sorts of countries is fantastic. I mean, we were speaking to 20 countries before the launch, and it's really kicking off since the launch. So it's people, and every one of you are part of this, of the success of this. Whether it's teaching in your classroom, or just getting your own kids involved, or starting a coding club, or supporting an existing initiative. There is something that you can all do to help, and without that help, it'll never realise its full potential. So, hopefully in this room, some of you will feel that motivation and become part of this movement. And it's a very satisfying thing from a personal point of view to be part of something that just feels like we're doing some good in this world. So loads of teachers in the UK have had it. Gareth mentioned that there's a really vibrant community called the CAS community, Computers at School, and they were a great help. And I you know, any similar organisations out here would be a great help in getting this thing out there. And I've taken a few quotes from their forums, and these are from a few days ago. So we're not talking, you know, there's an ongoing dialogue still going on, and I'll read them out. The programming environment plus the hardware make it one of the slickest pieces of physical computing hardware that we've used. I think they have had a big impact here, made programming more fun, accessible for those that struggle with simple Python games. They certainly open the syllabus to those who struggle with just text on a page called Code to Life. Have so far used them with years 9, 10, 11, 12 and 13, so that's kids aged 14 to 18, and have really good response from them. And these aren't cherry-picked. I didn't go through a huge pile and pick out the really nice ones. I mean, this is what people are saying. You know, there isn't that much negative that's coming back, which is fantastic. And I think one of the greatest experiences, and you may see this at some point, is the cynical teacher. They're rare. There's a few, and we came across a few of these. Oh, this thing's rubbish. What do I need this for? And there's so many anecdotes about those teachers who, once they got their hands on them, played with them for a little bit, ate their words, and were pleased to eat their words when they saw, you know, that this thing really is quite cool. So yeah, just a brief word on how we're working with international partners. Our aim is to help wherever anyone wants to put microbits into the hands of children, or further the goals and the mission of the Microbit Education Foundation, then we're here to help, and we have resources and people in place to do that. What we're looking to do with each country that's interested is sign up a single country partner. That country partner will represent us in that territory and look after things like the website translations. But also ideally be a focal point for other organisations within that country that want to get involved. That said, we aren't going to exclusively just support one partner. Anyone who wants to do something, if we've got the, you know, if their intentions are in line with our objectives, then we'll help them. But obviously within each country, we'll encourage people to work through the country partner. And I'm really proud and pleased to say that LKK, Larkidens, apologies. Yeah, we've been talking. I mean, look, the foundation was launched on Tuesday, but we've been going for a bit longer than that. Just, you know, I've had to tell people, oh, I'm unemployed, but all the time working for this fantastic foundation. But we've been speaking to organisations for a couple of months, yeah, so we've LKK are our country partner in Norway, and our first official country partner. We also have one in the Netherlands, but LKK beat them by a few hours into accepting our contract. So, and I was told that it would go down well to say that Sweden aren't anywhere on they're a bit behind, but. And that's it. That's all I've got to say now. There's two images that Gareth used that I just want to take a few seconds to talk through. The one at the top is the first microbit in space. And in fact, the microbit's been into space and it's been to the North Pole, it might be the South Pole. So any of you want to do something great, I think the North Pole is still there. You can get to the bottom of the ocean. Everest? Oh god, yeah. But the space shot was done by a school in the UK, Rishworth School, who off their own bat they got a weather balloon and they sent it up. They have a Raspberry Pi that's working with the microbit and a little Lego man, and I believe that internal air traffic around the UK was rerouted for about 3 hours as the air balloon was going up and coming down. Which is great. We got loads of good PR out of it. We didn't get in trouble because we hadn't encouraged them, but That was great. And then the other one is the Bloodhound. Some of you may be aware of this. There's an attempt to break the 1,000-mile-an-hour land speed record. And some of the teams that are working with Bloodhound have linked up with Microbit. And there's a fantastic challenge in the schools in the UK where you can get a little foam replica of the car, put a microbit in it to get some diagnostics, and then send your car off at incredible speeds. And the kids absolutely love that. It's a great tie-up as well. So yeah, that's it. And I'll leave you with a slide of all our fantastic partners. Thank you very much.